Good evening, everybody. This is N7DND, Gary, for the DCARC TechNet. Tonight we're going to be covering fox hunting, and if you all want to know what fox hunts sound like, go to 146.65. There's one on the air, and you can probably hear it all over the county. So we're going to be talking about fox hunts. So I'm going to pass it over. I hope that Craig's here and Greg's here and Joe's here in the shack with me. So N7JEH, I'm going to pass it over to you, and you can go ahead and start off by talking about fox hunts a little bit. No, wait a minute. I'm going to pass it over to Larry. Larry, let's pass it over to you and KV7LC, and you can do a little housekeeping for us and talk about the website maybe a little bit and tell them where the restrooms are and those kind of things. Over to you, Larry, N7DND.
Thank you, Gary. This is Larry, KV7LC. I am currently here at the Layton City Park, so I apologize if my audio isn't as clear as it usually is. With that said, I want to welcome everybody out to this TechNet talking about fox hunts. We are excited to be able to present this, and also to be able to announce that this Saturday we will have a fox hunt that's available with prizes. Gift certificates that will get you things from the bookstore. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. The website does have resources on the fox hunts and directional antennas that you can go and check out, as well as all of the particulars for the fox hunt for this weekend on Saturday. So I'm here to help any way I can, and I'm sure Gary will send it over to me from time to time. With that, I'll send it back over to you, Gary, and 7D&D. This is Larry, KV7LC.
Larry, thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to N7JEH. He's going to talk a little bit about fox hunts, and then we'll do a little bit of a roundtable. We'll talk about the rules for Saturday and some of the prizes and stuff we're going to give away. Over to you, Joe. This is N7DND.
Oh, thanks, Gary. This is Joe, N7JEH. We've been trying to have fox hunts for the last few years, usually around picnics, and nobody seems to be interested, so we thought we'd really push hard and do a little training and see if we can build some enthusiasm, and it's a good excuse to get the kids out or get yourself out in the sun and have some fun. So what is fox hunting? Well, it's basically radio direction finding. You're trying to determine a direction between you with a receiver and a transmitter or a noise source. Why would you want to do this? Well, if you're searching for a lost friend, he's got a radio and he can talk to you, but he doesn't know where he's at. Well, you can maybe locate him. Locate troublesome power line noise. A lot of times you've got a noisy transformer or something in the neighborhood that's interfering with your HF radio, and you can go out and locate it and notify the power company. Learn a new skill. I mean, ham radio is all about learning and building your technical expertise. So there's that. If we've got somebody that's jamming a repeater, you can listen on the input frequency and possibly locate him. What happens next is debatable. Get outside and have some fun, and most importantly, this Saturday, win stuff, and Larry will talk about that. So what do we need? Let me let the repeater reset here, and then we'll move on to the next little piece of this. This is N7JEH. Okay, what do we need for one of these fox hunts or transmitter hunts? Well, first you need a transmitter or a fox, and we've got 3 of them that are going to be running this Saturday on 3 different frequencies in 3 different communities, so you don't have to drive far. Hopefully, if you're in Davis County, there will be one fairly close to you. You also need a receiver. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Spend a little bit of time talking about a real quick and simple method for doing a fox hunt. You just need a handheld radio with a detachable antenna. And when you're you're far away from the transmitter when you're first starting out, get your handheld out and sort of turn in a circle to where you're blocking the antenna. And if you hear the things start to hiss, the signal decrease and start to hiss, you've got your back to the transmitter. If you can't get it to do that, the next thing to try is kneel down or sit down alongside of your car on 4 different sides. And whichever way, again, you're blocking that signal, you might hear the signal go down. Or a metal building, you can do the same thing. As you get closer, you're going to be able to just use your body to attenuate the signal. You won't have to use it, metal building or such. When you start getting really close, detach your antenna, and depending on what type of connector you've got, if you've got one of the Yaesus that have the female SMA on the radio, simply stick a paper clip into that little center connector, and that'll give you a smaller antenna, and again, you're going to rotate until you can find where that attenuated or null spot is, and then you're going to go 180 degrees and go towards the transmitter. If you've got a Baofeng or one of them that's got the male SMA, where you've got the little center conductor sticking up through the middle, just take your finger and put it on that center conductor, and your hand will become the antenna. Again, it works pretty well. And again, use your body as an attenuator. I'm going to let it reset here real quick. Okay, this is N7JEH back for a little bit more. If you want to get more sophisticated, you can use directional antennas. You can make a tape measure Yagi. You guys know what a Yagi is? It looks like a TV antenna, and you point it in the direction of the transmitter, and as you turn in different directions, you should hear the signal go down, and you can zero in that way. Anybody that's watched any World War II movies or documentaries, you've seen the loop antennas that were used to locate hidden transmitters, the French underground, etc. during the war, and you can build those. I think we've got plans for those on the website for a real simple one out of a piece of 12-gauge house wire. I mean, it's really simple. The hardest thing is finding the little capacitor to do the trimming. And there's an adcock antenna, which is a loop and a vertical that again, is a little more complicated and has a meter, but you don't have to have this stuff to get into this. You can do it very simply just with your handheld. And then if you really want to get serious about this, you've probably seen these units on some police cars. They use them for LoJack to locate stolen cars. It's a Doppler unit. It's an electronic device that uses 4 antennas, and they're put, north, south, east, west on a vehicle. And the unit electronically selects each antenna in rotation at a very high rate of speed, and magic happens, and on the indicator on the panel of this unit, it will tell you the direction with pretty good accuracy of where that transmitter is. Now, you're always going to run the risk of signals reflecting off of buildings and that sort of thing, but that's probably one of the more sophisticated ways of doing this stuff. You can do multiple stations triangulating. You and your buddy go to different parts of town and get a bearing on the signal, compare notes, get on a map, put those signal lines on a map, and where they cross, it's probably pretty close to your transmitter. So I'm going to turn this over to Greg, and if Greg's here, N7 NHP, UHP, wrong state, he can give us a story of an issue that he's been dealing with in hunting down the signal. Back to you, or over to you, Greg. This is N7JEH.
7JEH, K7UHP. Hopefully that was long enough to let that reset. Whenever there's extra signals bouncing around, one of the ones I'm facing right now with work is as the weather turns, as moisture lights up, one of our local water districts uses telemetry data in order to monitor their different wells. And due to some power line noise, which is what we're trying to track down, the rain or the high moisture content just before it snows generates noise from a power line, which saturates the receiver. And the problem then that becomes is when they transmit from their home office to these remote sites, there's one particular site that based on the noise at that particular site, it does not respond, and then they start getting alerts that the system is down. We've moved antennas, we've done a lot of work, power companies taking a look at it, and it seems like whenever we go out to look at it, it goes away, but as soon as we leave, it comes back. But again, as you look for that signal, that would be one example of tracking down and trying to locate where that extra noise is coming from. We appreciate everybody's participation, and this is something the club wanted to do, at least from the board, so we can, even though it might be individuals, give us something to do. You know, we're looking forward to that time again when we'll be able to get back and have our club meetings, but for now, we're excited to do these tech nights on the radio and include all those who'd like to participate, so feel free to chime in here as they open that up. And with that, I will turn it back over to N7JEH or to Gary, N7DND, depending on which one of those two pick it back up. With that, this is K7UHB.
Greg, this is N7JEH. I don't know why I always want to put an N in front of your call sign. I know Larry mentioned this before, but we do have some really good resources on the website. There is a YouTube video on there where the fellow shows the paperclip method, and he spends quite a bit of time bumbling around his town trying to find the transmitter, and he ultimately finds it. And that's well worth a watch if you guys are at all interested. And if you want some help, get a hold of Gary or Larry or myself before the event, and we can show you how to do things a little bit and maybe make you a little more successful. We want to have fun. It's not the end of the world if you don't find it, but we want to have fun trying and get out and get some sunshine and some vitamin D. Larry, do you want to talk about exactly how we're going to do this? Or are we there yet? This is N7JEH.
K7UHB, question.
Greg.
Guys give the frequency again, just so people can tune to that and we can hear it. I thought you said 14665, but I'm probably wrong and I haven't heard anything. So if you guys can give that before you go over to Larry. K7UHB.
Frequency is 146.565. That's going to be the bountiful unit, and the other two will be on different frequencies, which will be announced. But yeah, 146.565. You should hear a little tune playing about every 15 seconds, and then a CWID. Larry, are you there? This is N7JEH.
Thanks, Joe. This is Larry, KV7LC. Man, I'll just take a minute to talk about the fox hunt that we have scheduled for this Saturday. So we are fortunate enough to have 3 transmitters. There will be one in the city of Bountiful, one in Clinton, and one in Layton. The frequencies are posted on the website right under the rules for the fox hunt. Basically, it's pretty simple. Go out and find the foxes, transmitters. You can the team if you want to. If there's a few of you that want to get, you can work individually. Absolutely take family with you if you have the ability to, and just make it a fun morning. Is scheduled for 9 a.m. till noon. You can go out searching for the transmitters anytime. When you find the fox, please leave it there. I want to break for a moment to have the repeater reset. So once again, when you find the transmitter, what we would like you to do is take a picture of it and note the time that you found the transmitter. And then go ahead and jump on this repeater and let us know. There'll be a number of during this frequency, and we'd just like to know that you're out there. When you let us know that you found it, don't give away the location so that others have an opportunity to find it. We do have prizes for this. So the first 3 people that find in each location, they are eligible to receive a 20 gift certificate for the club bookstore per fox they find. So that means if you find the one in Layton at 9 o'clock in the morning, the one in Clinton at 9:30, and at 10, and you are one of the first 3 in each of those locations, the information is on the website right now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Back to you next. KV7LC.
Okay, Larry, N7DND here. We lost a lot of what you said there. You must be wandering around there with your HT. But yes, that's very important that in fact, we're going to be bringing up the 04 repeater about 8:45, and we'll be talking on it. And if you need help, you can ask us questions. We'll be more than willing to give you information about equipment and stuff. We're not going to tell you where it's at. We'll lie to you. Yeah, Joe says we'll lie to you where it's at. But there will be 3 of them, and like I say, there is one up right now, and it is talking loud and clear, doing a little tune, and then it gives you my name and call sign, and it gives you my phone number. So if you're sufficient in Morse code or you want to listen to Morse code, it's there, and it does talk. And then it shuts off for 2 minutes. That's one of the things we set it up to do, and it goes away. And then after about 2 minutes, it comes back on and it starts talking again, so it gives you a chance to move forward to it. So it'll be a lot of fun. So go take a picture, send it to the webmaster, and then call us on the 04 repeater and say, I found one of them, and they are there, and it does sound good. Yeah, and be safe. I've watched people in geocaching that do really crazy things, so be really safe about what you're doing. Okay, N7HYP, are you out there, Craig? Okay, since Craig isn't here and Greg's given his 4 cents worth, and Joe and Larry and I have been talking about this and that and housekeeping, I'd like to open it up to a roundtable. Anybody have any questions? This is N7DND. First name and call sign. Come on, I know there's some of you guys out there lurking. There's money on the line here. We need to give these prizes away, and if you don't go find these foxes, we can't give them away. We'll just have to give them to the officers. You guys can come and get them. Anybody out there got any questions or whatever? N7 D&D.
Rick, Whiskey 7, Victor, Quebec.
Rick?
The comment, one of the things that I think is good about participating in the fox hunts is it gives a real good proper or effective setup location. Anytime you're trying to set up any kind of a communication net, whether it's for emergency communications or just for a bicycle race or whatever it happens to be. So, W7VQ.
Hey, Rick, thanks for that. Some of you were cutting out, so I didn't hear some of that, so I apologize. So, is there anybody else, N7DND, that would like to comment, questions, or whatever?
Jason, N7 CSM, I was just curious what kind of equipment we need to participate in these fox hunts.
A perfect double there. One of you go ahead and come back now, please.
Jason, CSM, just curious as to what kind of equipment we need to have to participate in these fox hunts.
Need is a handheld and a detachable antenna. That's all you need. Questions, Jason? Any other questions?
Go by signal strength, N7 CSM.
That's correct. Another out there? Come now, please.
This is Mike, KE7BSP. Got a brand new radio today. Just want to make sure I can hit the repeater because I can hear you fine.
Hitting the creative full bars, coming in loud and clear. Any other questions or comments?
70YR, Roger.
Roger, can you hear my fox up there where you're at?
Getting some squelch on it every few minutes. I don't hear anything other than just a squelch.
Hey, Gary, I haven't heard it at all from Centerville, K7UHP.
Who's checking it out? We're going to see what's going on here.
Gary, I've got a question. This is Roger, W7OYR. What power are the foxes transmitting on?
Just turned my radio up. Probably 50 milliwatts. They're not very much. I do have mine on the rooftop antenna, and Joe's doctoring up the... There it is, it's working. Okay, that's what it sounds like, and hopefully you can get it on the it is transmitting loud and clear. It wasn't. What it does is it shuts down for about 2 minutes or so, and then it starts up and starts talking again. So if you get it in the quiet time, you won't hear it, and all of a sudden you can start chasing it again. And there it is, doing the CW with my name and call sign, phone number. Right, that has got through transmitting, so now you won't hear anything.
On my
Go again, please. Question, first name and call sign, please. Again, nothing heard. Just a minute. A little echo in the background, and I'm sorry about that. We've got a couple of radios in here going on. So I guess that's that. Is there anything else that anybody'd like to cover? Any kind of, I guess we want to talk about the swap meet is still on in September, the third Saturday, from 9 until noon, and we'll be doing the 100% social distancing at this time. And I have talked to the Ogden Club and the Salt Lake Club and said we're still on as of now. So we'll be having stuff you can wipe your hands off with, and everybody will have to wear a mask. But we'll do everything that we can to play by the rules. So, anybody else want to talk about anything else tonight? We've only been on the air half an hour, and we like to drag it out to at least 8 o'clock. Is N7D&D.
Hall, KC7RAF.
Hall.
Well, I just wish that we were going to be in town for this fox hunt on Saturday. It sounds like a fun event with 3 of them going. That definitely would be fun. But unfortunately, we'll be on the east end of the state. But we'll be thinking about you. And you guys just all stay safe and take care. KC7RF.
Thank you, Hall. I know that in the Ogden area they do a fox hunt in the summer, and you have to find the foxes to find the directions to get to breakfast. They serve a really good breakfast at a park, and you have to go all over the Ogden area and find at least 2 or 3 of these foxes to get the information to find the park. So if this is something that people would like to do, we can do more of it and have fun doing it. I'm going to pass it over to N7JEH and let him say a few words.
He just wants me to burn the clock. This is N7JEH. Well, like we said, this is more about having fun and trying to keep the club viable, and have some activities, and something better than just staring at the computer screen. And it's a good opportunity for people to learn about these things. I strongly suggest you watch the video with the guy fumbling around town. I mean, you can see where an experienced guy still has some issues. We're going to try to keep it simple. That's why we have them and tell you which town they're in at least. So they're going to be probably low. They're not going to be up high. We're going to keep them low so the signals don't go out that far. You'll be able to pick them up from up high, but you shouldn't be hearing them in Salt Lake City, etc. So have some fun. As time goes on, if people are not getting anywhere near the thing, we can maybe give some clues to keep people excited, and then after you find it, we can dig around and show you other little tricks and stuff. Is there anybody out there that's done more of these, wants to give some tips or hints or things to avoid? Okay, we hate to mess this one up. This is N7JEH with Gary in Bountiful.
Ed?
KJQ is on that 6565.
So, on how the gentleman was, searching for the foxes?
Ask again, there was a double.
Can we find the video of the gentleman that is showing how he was looking for the foxes with his HT?
Do you want to address that?
KV7LC. Actually, after that, I'm getting out of our... Hang on.
You gotta quit walking around, Joe. You're cutting out really bad.
5 minutes and I'll come back to you, Gary. KV7LC.
He'll get back to us in a minute, but we'll put that up on the website right where the foxes are at, so you can watch that. He'll put a link there so you can go there and look at that. It's basically a YouTube, and Larry said he'll put a link up for us in the next day, so you'll be able to go ahead and look at it. It's kind of fun. I know I enjoy it. I know we found a fox a number of times. You know, Greg was talking briefly about fox hunting, and you know, a lot of times there's noise around your house. I know a little story that I was having a lot of noise on 40 meters, and every day at net time I would go and try to talk, and I couldn't hear a stinking thing. So I got Hall to come up one day, and he brought a receiver up with him, and we went fox hunting, so to speak, and we looked around, and we found a goal zero that I had that was making all kinds of noise and stuff, so I ended up taking it back to them for repair. But you know, if you've got a good old-fashioned AM radio, you can find find noise and stuff without in your house and stuff. I mean, it's not just fox hunting; it's you can find noise on your CRT, your TV, your computers, and it's a good thing to get used to using and learning about. Okay, is there anybody else that had any question? N7DND.
Larry, KV7LC. Just want to apologize to the group. We will get that link up for that YouTube video in the Fox Hunt resource page this evening, so you can find that. I just got caught in a really big, huge rainstorm here in Layton. So my 8-year-old and I were running from the playground back to our car. So I'm on a much better rig now. So back to you to have control. KV7LC.
Yeah, you sound much better now. Yeah, I've got an interesting war story. When I lived in Nevada, we had a statewide Aries net on 75 meters on 3965 kilohertz, and one of the fellows that lives in Imlay, if you've ever driven to Reno, you've driven through Imlay, which is Big Latin for limb, I guess. I don't know. It's out in the middle of nowhere, about 40, 50 miles east of Lovelock. Anyway, poor guy was having all kinds of noise, power line noise, on 75 meters, and he was just really playing heck with his HF activities. So he did a little radio direction finding and narrowed it down to where he thought it was, and called the power company, and they met him out there and went and knocked on the door of this lady's house, and she had a big garage out behind her house. She was living in a mobile home as an older lady, and they asked if they could look in the garage and see what was making this noise. And she said, "Oh, sure, that's fine. I never go back there. My son putters around back there, but yeah, go ahead. Here's the keys." And lo and behold, they opened up the garage, and it was full of grow lights and a big marijuana grow. This was before it was legal in Nevada, so that didn't go well for him after that. So yeah, be careful when you're DFing power line noise, I guess, is the moral of that story. This is N7JEH.
Hey, Joe. Appreciate that. Okay, we've got a little bit more time if anybody wants to jump in and ask some questions, and we'll be more than happy to take any kind of questions you have or comments or anything about fox hunting or anything else you might want to talk about. This is N7DND.
Hall, KC7RF.
Bye. At home.
Yeah, what was the frequency? I copied it as 146.650 that you've got on right now. Is that correct?
46.565.
Ah, that's why I'm not hearing 565. Thank you very much, KC7RF.
D7H, Brett.
Rick? Yeah, go ahead, Brent. I'm sorry. AC7H. This is N7JEH. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just give you, I've been involved with several of these hunts, and actually troubleshooting interference, some deliberate, some innocent. One of the stories, we had some interference, and it was in the Salt Lake area, and we had some of these squeakers, double antennas, and you'd go side by side with them until you get the null. And anyway, inexperience and middle of the night, and it's dark, and if you're not knowing what you're doing and don't have the experience, we were going backwards. We were going the wrong direction towards it, away from it rather than towards it. Ended up on the mountain and tripped in the ditch, and skinned my leg up and everything else. And eventually we got it figured out and went down and found the interfering guy in West Valley. And it's like 2 o'clock in the morning by this time, and now we're parked in front of the guy's house, and he's got ham antennas, and it was an interference, but it wasn't deliberate. But now we're sitting there looking at each other. Now what do we do? And so I finally got up enough nerve, went up and rang the doorbell. Guy come to the door in his shorts. So he was very embarrassed and such, but it was an experience. AC-78.
This is N7JEH. Thanks, Brett. Yeah, I can imagine. You're probably using those Adcox, the ones with the little meter on them, and you got 2 little dipoles on either side of the box.
Very similar to that.
Yeah, those. You look at some of the RRL books, and you'll see those as a project to build. One thing that's interesting: high frequency HF direction finding. You folks may or may not know, there's a lot of what are called SDR, or software-defined rate receivers, around the world. We've got one up at Kareen, up there at the north end of the lake. And there's a website you can go to if you search Kiwi, like the fruit, or the New Zealanders, Kiwi SDR radio direction finding. You can go in and you can switch on multiples of these software-defined receivers around the world, or you can do them like Utah, California, Montana, Arizona, and then you put in a frequency that you're looking for, that you know that there's a signal on, and it will show you on a map with some accuracy where that signal's coming from. It's kind of like what the FCC and other federal agencies do when they are DFing HF signals, but you're not using multi-million-dollar equipment, you're using crowdsourced little thumbnail-sized receivers. So that's kind of fun. Kiwi SDR radio direction finding. Just Google that and it'll take you to the site, and there's instructions on how you click on which radios you want, and it's pretty fun, kind of fun to play with. This is N7JEH. I'll throw it back to Gary, our net controller here.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I want to thank you for that. Does there anybody else have any questions, comments? Come now, please.
7JXY is Chuck.
Chuck? Well, come on now. I need to know when you're going to bring me back the climbing equipment. I was going to call you. You had a comment. Come now, please.
1, I don't have your climbing equipment. Number 2, one thing they need to watch for, the old Edison light bulbs that had the loop filament in it. One heck of a radiator of HF frequencies. We had to find one several years ago when I did TV repair. It took us 4 hours just to find that stupid light bulb, and it was right in front of us.
Talk about. Other questions, comments, or anything else you'd like to talk about?
Larry, KV7LC.
Larry?
So just a couple of quick comments. This is going to be a great activity for anyone, no matter what your experience level is with your radio, handheld, and your detachable antenna. You're good to go. So that should be a lot of fun. But I also wanted to remind everyone about the resources that we have available through the club. We have our Elmers that are available to help with anything radio related that you might have. We can get, if you have a question or would like some mentoring, let us know, and we'll get you hooked up with one of our Elmer members so that you can get the help that you want and need. And also, we have the club bookstore. Even though we haven't been able to meet together, we are planning on having the swap meet the third Saturday of September, and the bookstore should be there for that. And also, if there's something that you need in the interim, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll connect you with one of the bookstore managers, and we'll get you hooked up with what you need, whether that be a book or parts and pieces. Let us know. We're happy to help and to keep you in whatever you need to get. So don't forget to reach out, and we'll be happy to do what we can as a club to support you in this hobby. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Larry. And that is important. That the club is relatively closed, but it is open, and we can get you stuff out of the bookstore. And Brent's offered to help with that, and other people have offered to help and get the stuff. We talked to Mel the other night, and he's got some books and stuff that. So if there's something you need, we'll try our best to hook you up. So Larry's going to put up some parts and pieces on the website, so you can go and look and see what's there, and we'll get you going. So is anybody out there hearing the Fox? Let's do a little. Anybody that's out there that can hear the Fox, the furthest away, the best. Anybody out there that can hear the Fox on 146.565.
AC7REF, hearing it here in Woods Cross. Of course, it's an indoor antenna, but it's a gain antenna. And no, actually, it's up 35 feet in the air. So anyway, we're hearing it.
Is there anybody else that's hearing it?
W7VQ here in North Salt Lake.
Thanks, Rick. Anybody else? Anybody up north?
This is Mike, KJ7LDW. I guess I'm up east, up on the bench, and I've on my handheld with a whip, I do not hear it. But on my Yaesu 400 with a GP antenna on the roof, I get a little break and a squelch, and that's about it.
And what city you were in?
Yeah, sorry, this is Bountiful, East Bench, Mike on KJ7LDW.
I think you would hear it. It's not on right this minute. We'll start again in 2 minutes, but I'm surprised you haven't heard it really good.
I know that's what I would have thought. I've been constantly listening throughout this whole net, and haven't heard it once on my handheld with a whip antenna on it. But and again, like I say, when I switched over on the Yaesu 400 with the antenna on the roof, then I heard just intermittent breaking of squelch.
You could open your squelch up a little bit more, because I know all of the squelches I set on my HTs are generally set at 3, and if you push that button on the right side of a lot of the radios, or excuse me, the left side, you can. There it is. Now it is transmitting right now. If you open up your squelch, see if you can hear it.
Okay, will do.
I heard it on its last transmission when I was just getting on the freeway on 89. I was going northbound on I-15. I had just gotten on I-15, and I heard a little bit of a squelch break from there. This is KN1TER.
Thank you, Robert. Anybody else hearing this?
E7MG with a question.
Mike?
Is the Fox frequency steerable, or is that all we get out of it?
Yeah, we can put it anywhere we want. That's just where we picked it.
Okay, I just noticed it's setting on a non-standard frequency and for the simplex, and might get interference from some adjacent people. KD7MG.
Yeah, that's the default that it comes with, and we put the other two Foxes on different frequencies, so they're all different. So Yeah, that's the default it comes with, and we're just using it for a fox hunt. Anybody else can hear it? This is N7 D&D. Okay, I guess enough said. Any other comments, questions before we close the net?
1 TER.
Robert?
I don't remember who it was that mentioned Elmering, but I could sure use some of that at my new place. I'm trying to figure out where to put a shack and what kind of an antenna, and I've already got a couple of radios for HF that I could hook up, but just looking for maybe some Elmering on some suggestions for antennas and where to put the shack in the house, if someplace it's going to be convenient. I'm really new at this as far as being able to get anybody to help me. I learned ham radio all by myself and haven't ever really had an Elmer, so anybody that would be interested in that. I live up in the Clinton area now. Anyway, this is KN1TER, back to net.
Thank you. We've got a lot of people that live up in that Clinton area, and we'll be more than happy to do it. Get you an Elmer. I know that I've certainly had a good Elmer over the years, and I've done my best to do that. Okay, our next get-together, our next TechNet for the Davis County Amateur Radio Club will be on September the 8th. It's a Tuesday, same things, 7:30 in the evening on the 04 repeater, and the next topic is going to be antennas. VHF, UHF antennas. If we don't have enough time, we'll drag it out, or we can add other antennas to it. But we'd like to start out with UHF and VHF antennas. So come join us and bring your questions with you, and we'll talk about how long an antenna should be and all that kind of stuff. So, depending on the frequency that you're on. So, before I close the net, Joe, Larry, I'd like to thank you. Greg, thank you for being out there. And any other comments before I close the net? Come now, please. First name and call sign.
AD78. Yeah, Gary, what was that frequency again for the that bunny hunt, and how long will it be stay that way?
Okay, the one that's on tonight, and it's on right now, and it'll be on for about another 15 minutes, 146.565. And on Saturday, the one in Clinton is going to be on 146.750 megahertz, and the one in Layton will be on 146.54. Those are standard frequencies that we use within the area for Aries. Oh, and one other thing before I close.